So I made this game in a week, but I only actually used 48 hours. I joined Nate Jam, which is a week-long game jam hosted by Manisha and Native. But I made a big oopsie. You see, this game you just saw was actually made in 2 days instead of a full week. The theme of the game jam was break the system, and a bit of lore was given too, which I planned on using but never got to. I was already burnt out from a different project that I just finished the day before this game jam, so unfortunately the first couple days were very lackluster. So let's speedrun the boring stuff. I created a new project, brainstormed an idea, made a Trello board, I ignored the Trello board for the rest of the project. I learned about the Unity tile system. It hates me and I hate it too. I spent a lot of time looking for 2D assets. I spent even longer importing them all to Unity. I made some custom enemy sprites, they're just okay. I created a testing scene, a player, an enemy. I gave the player a floating weapon. I made a scene for the intro. I created a dialogue system. I tossed the dialogue system. I made a weapon go, created an enemy spawner, made a bigger map. There is now a controller wrench. I decided it's all garbage and erased it. There goes 5 days down the drain. I wasn't happy with the stitched together graphics, I didn't get along with the Unity tile system, and I wanted to challenge myself even more. So far, every game I made has been 2D, and I really wanted to tackle 3D head on. As you know, 3D is one more dimension than 2D, and an extra dimension would mean extra credit. So I reached out to my friend Yasmin and asked her if she had some time to work on this project with me. I already had assets for both the environment and the character, even for the user interface, but I didn't have the time to learn how to use Blender and create a 3D equivalent of the enemies. Luckily, she said yes, and that meant it's go time. I have 48 hours and I need a miracle. Or to stop procrastinating, I guess. That would help too. First, I imported a bunch of assets. 3D tiles, character models, and user interface prefabs. I set up the free 3D character controller from Unity and attached one of the character models to it. I also changed the default skybox. Awesome, it felt like I got a lot done, but the past few days were still haunting me. We weren't out of the woods yet. Next up was migrating as much of the old code as possible and creating a parody. Yasmin got around to sending me some 3D models to use, so I added them to the world as well as a weapon. It's looking better already. I tweaked the run animation for the character and started working on the weapon script more closely. I made it orbit around the player when idle and fly towards the crosshair when the player left clicks. I added collisions next and reintroduced the health bar. Now we can attack the enemies. Wait, that's not supposed to happen.
Just stop!
I guess it's a feature for now. I also added a coin model, which I'll erase later on. And that sums up this day. We made a lot of progress in less than 24 hours, but it wasn't enough. It's time to enter the infamous crunch mode. I'm not a fan of the idea of crunch, but I'm not going to lie. Personally, I'm a lot more focused under pressure, and as you can see, I get a lot more done. This 1 day progress was a lot more than the prior 5 days, and I enjoyed every minute of it. Next up was implementing the spawner. I spent about an hour debugging why all the spawned enemies showed up as small black squares. It made very little sense to me, until I realized that the spawning code was using a 2D vector as a spawn scale, which squishes them down in the 3D world. Next, I decided to take a few minutes and do some mind-numbing work. I created a larger game world and gated it. It's a lot better and all that, but I really wanted to add some sense of progression into the game, which was still missing. I found a free 3D model of a chest and threw it into the game. I also re-implemented the logic of the enemies into the game, and now they follow you as soon as they spawn, with the intent to kill. Yasmin also sent me the rest of the 3D models, including the set of eyes. I slapped those eyes onto the new models to give them some personality and started working on some new game logic. We needed some UI. I started off by designing the title screen. I added a quick logo, a play button, high score, and enemies into the background. We're coming close to submission time, with less than 10 hours left at this point. I had to finish up the chest purchasing system, so I added some coins into the game, which you get by killing enemies. I created a trigger for when you get close enough to the chest, which prompts you to click F to purchase. I added the power-up logic, and made sure the purchase script works. I wanted to animate the chest opening up when you get within range, but I didn't have enough time for that, unfortunately. At this point, I had about 3 or so hours left, and no sound at all. I checked out some music tracks and settled on 2 tracks by Context Sensitive. I'll leave a link down in the description. I set up one for the main menu and one for the gameplay, and made them loop. At this point, I was super tired. I just wanted to finish up and submit, but I couldn't give up without implementing the I downloaded the sound effect, added it into the game, and gave it a bit of variation so it sounds interesting. Lastly, I worked on a simple page for each IO and submitted the game, 36 seconds before the deadline. I had a lot of fun making this game, and I hope you guys would enjoy playing it. You can try the game out for free on itch.io, I'll have a link down in the description. I shared all of my progress on Twitter, so if you guys like to see this kind of thing in the future, make sure to follow me. I'm planning on adding a bunch of new features, perhaps even multiplayer. So let me know what features you would like to see first in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it really helps me out a lot, and I'll see you all in the next video.